So today we're going to solve quadratic equations by factoring. And I'm going to just do two types of factoring today, the easiest types. And then when we get back, we'll do the harder ones, okay? So the first one we're doing is greatest common factor. And if I have, let's say, 3x squared minus 9x, let's do a 9x here. What can I pull out of a 3x squared and a 9 as a 9x to get a factor? A 3, and what else can I get out? An x, a 3 and an x. So what you're going to do is you're taking out the 3 and the x. And if you don't get that, you can factor this all the way like this. 3xx minus 3x. And you see there's a 3x in common and a 3x in common. So that's what you pull out. 3x, and you put your parenthesis. What got left here?
1x on the first part.
X minus 3. And that's how you factor it, okay? Now you're going to make this equal to 0 because you're solving it by factoring. That means you're finding where it hits the x-axis. Remember I said I'm going to say that for a long time. What are you doing when you're solving a quadratic equation? You're finding where it hits the x-axis. So here we have two factors. We have the 3x and we have the x minus 3. In order for two things multiplied together to give you a 0, one of them has to be a 0. There's no way to get a 0 unless one's a 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, 3x might be equal to 0, or x minus 3 might be equal to 0. You got it? And now we just divide by 3, and x would equal 0. And here we add 3 to this side, x would equal 3. If this is the answer, you solved by factoring. You first factor, and then you solve each factor, making it equal to 0. That's the final answer. So what do I do to check it? Put the original problem in the y equals screen and check 0 and 3 on your table and make sure there's zeros in the y column. So everybody do that real quick. The first thing I'm going to do is make a list of perfect squares. So when you see those numbers, you go, oh, that might be a difference of 2 squares. And it's going to be 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, that's 11, yeah, 12, 169. Yes, I would write these down. 14 I think is 196, 15 is 225, 16 is 256. All right, so if I have, let's say, x squared minus 196, I verify that the two things being subtracted, there is no such thing as a sum of two squares. It has to be a minus sign in between, okay? Not a plus sign. I look and see if the numbers involved are on my list, kind of like getting in a club. You make sure you're on the list or you can't get in. The bouncer will not let you in, right? And I make sure that the letter is squared. So we good? Can we proceed? So what we're going to do is set up two parentheses. And we're going to put an x in each one and a plus and a minus in each one. And then we're going to find the square root of 196 on our calculators. Square root of 196. 14. So it's going to be plus 14 and minus 14. Got it? So if I make that equal to 0, I get x plus 14 equals 0 and x minus 14 equals 0. Well, when I move the 14 over here is a negative, x equals negative 14 and x equals positive 14. So if you go to your table after keying this into your y equals screen and go to negative 14 and positive 14, you'll see zeros there and you'll know you're right. Got it?